I'm back again talking about another controversial topic. Would you look at that? Except this one has a bit more positivity behind it. I guess because basically I last night I watched this awesome documentary. It's called Feels Good Man. Came out this year. I've been catching up on all the movies that came out this year. Because I always like doing that by the end of the year. I always like doing this like sort of usually it's in the last two or 3 months that I like to catch up on a whole bunch of stuff. So you'll see you'll see me like go after a bunch of movies. Some of them I'll just like stop watching right away because I can tell it's like, okay, this is something that I'm just not compelled by. So just cut that off, move on to something else. And this is a film that I was happy to stumble across because I hadn't heard of it before. I'd heard of this Pepe the Frog, Pepe the Frog before, you know. So basically to let you guys know about it in case I'm pretty sure most people do, but just in case you don't know, I'm looking at Wikipedia here, so let's read this. Pepe the Frog is an internet meme consisting of a green anthropomorphic frog with a humanoid body. Pepe originated in a 2005 comic by Matt Furie. Matt Furie, I think his last name is Matt Furie, called Boys Club. It became an internet meme when its popularity steadily grew across MySpace. Gaia, what is that? Like G-A-I, Gaia Online? Some anime website, I think. Anime themed social network site, okay. And 4chan in 2008. By 2015, it had become one of the most popular memes used on 4chan and Tumblr. Different types of Pepe include Sad Frog, Smug Frog, Angry Pepe, Feels Frog, You Will Never Frog. Since 2014, rare Pepes have been posted on the sarcastic meme market as if they were trading cards. Actually, the documentary Feels Good Man touches on all of this stuff in a very unique way that I hadn't heard of before. So yeah, it's a very interesting documentary. In the 2010s, continuing on here, the character's image was appropriated as a symbol of the alt-right movement, as well as by white supremacists. The Anti-Defamation League included Pepe in its hate symbol database in 2016, but said most instances of Pepe were not used in a hate-related context. Since then, Pepe's creator has expressed his dismay at Pepe being used as a hate symbol and has sued organizations for doing so. In 2019, Pepe was used by protesters in the 2019-2020 Hong Kong protests. In the Hong Kong context, Pepe is not perceived as being connected with far-right ideology, and rightfully so, because and that sums it up nicely there. Wikipedia does a nice job summarizing my feelings towards this matter and you know, basically this documentary. But what's so successful about this documentary is the fact that it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't expect you to just right away go along with this guy and his plight to, you know, bring light back to this character that has been perverted by these quite frankly disgusting people online, like blatant white supremacists online. Like I think at one point they showed David Duke using his Twitter to bastardize this character that this artist basically, like, and it's quite a sad movie at times because like basically Pepe embodies this guy, like Matt Furie. I think his last name is pronounced Fury because it's spelled F-U-R-I-E. So I'm going to guess it's Fury because Fury obviously sounds more intense. Yeah, sounds more gripping. But it's very sad what you see, like how much he resembles Pepe, because obviously he wrote the comic strip called Boys Club in 2005, and it's just really sad how these people used his creation, his pride and joy, if you will, his own creative spark against him, well, not really against him, but just used it in a way that doesn't at all represent what he wants it to, and it gives you a different perspective. Like I feel like this film taught me so much about how people use the internet and how we're in this like sort of meme world now. That I feel like I learned a ton from this movie in the span of the hour and a half that it went on. I actually wish this, if I had like one complaint, it's like the slimmest of complaint, and if anything, it's a compliment. I kind of wish this film went on for just a bit longer, because I cared about Matt and his family very much. I wanted to see him win in all these legal cases. At one point, Alex Jones comes up, and this just shows me, because I've always sort of been a fan of Alex Jones, even though I know how much of a piece of garbage he is. But this just cements how much of a ghoul Alex Jones is. It's like stay in your, like, he tries to demonize Matt at one point, like he's saying, "Oh, we're gonna save Pepe," and it's like, no, that's his job to save Pepe. You're the one who keeps using this in a way just to prop up these politicians like Trump. Meanwhile, Trump's out there saying that, "Oh, I'm not a politician." It's like, you are now a politician, and all your apologists can keep saying that you're not, but it's this reoccurring thing with Trump that's just so annoying. "I'm not a politician." It's like, you've said that 1,000 times. I get you're not the typical politician, but now that you're the president, ever since you ran for office, you have become a politician, so you can't say otherwise now. He still tries to frame it as if he's not a politician. It's like, dude, you're a liar. You're just as much a politician as the next person. Whether or not they're worse is up for debate. But like, yeah, just the way it's crazy describing it. Just the way in which basically the internet used a meme like this to like at one point they bring up, like, on these message boards, and throughout the movie we follow not only Matt the creator, and not only some of his friends and some of his roommates that were basically the inspiration for other characters in this comic strip, but we follow this guy, I forget his name, but it's this like a guy who lives at home with his mom, and it's wild the way it starts, like, because the way it starts, like, it's so awkward. It's him standing in the kitchen with his mom, and I presume either his dad or his brother, because their faces are blurred out, and for obvious reasons. I mean, they probably want nothing to do with the world that this kid is living in, even though they still incentivize this kid, to not get a job, to like, and he's a grown adult, like, he's probably my age now, at least he looks like he's in his 20s or something, and it's just they really make these this documentary is so great, because it really opens your eyes to at first this meme sort of started off as this like very aggressive, like offensive sort of thing to sort of one up one another on 4chan. And I'm just happy that I never got sucked into that sort of thing. I was always wrapped up in message boards as a kid around like 2006 and 7. I was always wrapped up in like the superhero hype sort of things, like coming up on the release of Spider-Man 3 and The Dark Knight, movies like that. I remember just going on message boards and writing long posts about how much I love superheroes and how I want to see this and that and blah, blah, blah. And even one time I wrote my own fan fiction for Venom. I think I even wrote 2, because that's how in-depth into the comic book movie sort of ideology or whatnot at that time. I was so wrapped up in it. Whereas now I'm just like, I'm still interested in it, but you know, I see there's negative effects to engulfing yourself in too much of this online BS. It's really nonsensical when you like dive deep into it, and I wish there were better means in which we could pull these people out of that black hole of this online nonsense, because there's so many like black holes, and sometimes I feel myself getting sucked into the vortex of the internet, and I always try to pull myself back to reality by either watching a news story that opposes what I think, because like this film, what I love so much about this documentary is that it gave me new perspective. It gave me a new reason to understand why people hate Trump so much, hate people on the right so much, and I absolutely agree. I mean, like seeing the way in which they absolutely destroyed this man's creation. This guy is a good guy. I mean, like you see him, and like right from the get-go, you know, you see that he worked at a community center for years. Obviously, this is a guy who cares very much about his community. I think this guy is this guy should be a role model for people other than chumps like Alex Jones, who goes on and just screams at people every night to stop the globalists and stop this and stop that, and all he does is like just scream in a megaphone and get people angry. It's like you don't solve anything by anger. You solve it by some form of positivity, looking down and taking a breath every once in a while, whereas this guy just like uses that anger to just antagonize more and more people. And it's a harmful thing, really, and it's a documentary like this that really made me see from another perspective why, because I always understood in the back of my head why people hate a guy like Alex Jones so much, but it took a documentary like Feels Good Man to really show me that, yeah, these guys really are a detriment to society, and they definitely they may mean well in some way or another, you know, maybe even unintentionally so, but overall their message is very hurtful and you know, just trying to inspire just negativity all the time. You know, no growth, just like stew yourself in this constant bile of politicians and let us convince you that they're not what, you know, you fear they are. Because I've said it in many videos before this, and I say it again, all politicians are corrupt. I don't trust any one of them. I still, quite frankly, I still think Trump is going to be a better president in hindsight than Joe Biden is. I just think the media is going to cover up more of Biden, like if he does like become president, which is looking more and more likely as the days go by. But like, I don't know, all these hearings and trials, there's so much contradictory news nowadays that you don't really know what to engulf yourself in. So that's why I like to try to view both sides of the story. And again, I'm repeating myself here, but I'm so proud and thankful for everybody behind the making of this documentary. I feel like this might just be the best movie I've seen all year. And I made a joke in the last review that I did for the Man Standing Next, that excellent Korean thriller based on true events. I made a sort of joke there that every movie I see from now on, every movie that I review from now on, I'll just be calling it the best of the year, the best of the year. And it's because usually movies at the end of the year, I find, usually they get stronger and stronger. And I think this film probably came out closer to the middle of the year, I imagine. And I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes here. Or it came out September 4th, so like like with a quarter of the film, or with a quarter of the year remaining, came out. But yeah, this is a really great film, and I want to mention a couple other aspects that I really love. And this film doesn't have nearly enough reviews, in my opinion. It has 72 critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes with a 96% rating from them. I like their synopsis too for it. It's Rotten Tomatoes calls Feels Good Man a cautionary tale on internet culture. Feels Good Man is a compelling look at an artist's journey to salvage his creation. It's also got an 86% here on Rotten Tomatoes from only 36. 36 people reviewed this for Rotten Tomatoes. That's crazy in my opinion. That's just nuts. I'm not logged into Rotten Tomatoes right now, but maybe after I'll throw in a 5-star review for this, because it really is a 5-star film in my opinion. I was genuinely impressed with this film. And like I was alluding to before, I want to mention some of the things I really took away from this. First off, the animated sequences in this are some of the best animated sequences I've seen in any movie in years. Like every time this movie, because they incorporate animation with the documentary footage. This is such an exceptional film, in my opinion. This is a magnificent movie that will totally make you appreciate sort of your own creative tendencies, and hopefully will inspire you as it did me. I mean, last night I was so inspired by Matt Furie, the artist for Pepe here, that I even started drawing little doodles for my cat. You know, they're terrible. This one's kind of funny. This one looks quite silly. That one looks like a fox. I mean, this one just looks scary, especially because of the eyes there. I mean, ooh. And we got anything else? I kind of like that one because that's kind of cute. So on the back here, after I failed so hard at drawing, I sort of took to Facebook and basically just looked at a picture of my cat, the first picture of Audrey that popped up, and I sort of the thing I like about this one, I like the face. Obviously, I didn't go into too much detail, but I like the way the face turned out on this one. And finally, I did this one. Obviously, I like this one a bit more, but it's not the greatest. I like the face. I wish I could take the face of the last one and put it on here, because I think the face done on the last one, I still think it's good though. I colored I did a bit of light coloring for like the eyes. You can see a bit of yellow there and a bit of brown spots, and I didn't want to do too much detail, but you know, I think it turned out pretty well. I mean, I'm not a great obviously I'm not a very good artist. I sort of just like I don't know, I felt like drawing something after watching this movie. I found it was very inspiring, and I hope more people get the chance to see this film and support the artist Matt Furie here. I wish him all the best in his legal battles, like, because he's probably still going through this legal nonsense of these people. Like at one point closer to the end of the film, this white supremacist piece of garbage is trying to steal Matt's basically creation, and trying to like make his own children's book that like basically has these crazy like far right, like alt-right or whatever, like white supremacist outlooks basically, and like they show a panel out at one point from the book, and it's like these people, those like whatever aren't from here, and it's like just blatantly racist, disgusting garbage, and it's like you're planning on releasing this to kids. And I love how it's at that point, because throughout the majority of the documentary, Matt's a very cool guy, and he doesn't want to like sue anybody. He doesn't want to like he's fine with it at first, like at first with Pepe just being whatever these people want him to be. But once he sees more that these people are trying to earn profit off of bastardizing his creation and turning it into this symbol of hate, then he starts to take charge, and like you can't help but root for him all the way. It's like, yeah, like as soon as that happened, it was like the most inspiring, uplifting moment in a movie that I've seen all year, maybe in years, because this movie, I can't stress enough how moved I was by this film, how much I want many more people to see it. Not enough people have seen this. Like on IMDb here, it's got a 7.6 out of 10 with just under 2,000 ratings, and I think that's absurdly low for this movie, especially with the subject matter, because you know, this Pepe the Frog, or sort of sad frog, whatever they turned Pepe into from 2005 onwards. You know, with the popularity of it, this should be a more seen documentary. You know, but instead people are, I guess, too busy watching The Mandalorian or like other generic garbage. I haven't even watched that show yet, just for the record, because I'm just like, I'm so sick of all these like big property shows that just everybody like goes crazy over for the amount of time in which they're out, and then it's all said and done. Like Chris Stuckman did a video, and I really liked his video last night. It was basically on how times are a-changing, and the idea that going forward movie theaters are still going to be open, along with like basically with Warner Brothers. They just announced recently that they're releasing films like Wonder Woman 2 and Dune and Matrix 4. They're going to be releasing those on streaming the same day as they get released in theaters. So it's like, wow, that's how it's gotta be nowadays. I mean, and I liked Chris's take on that. I definitely agree. But he was saying like something about how film just doesn't, like, you don't get immersed in film as much as you do when you go to the theater. And I agree with him in some aspects, but I think that the thing about seeing a movie in theaters is that it can make a bad movie seem good, and it can make a good movie seem bad. You know what I mean? Like watching a movie at home where you're comfortable, where you can, you know, sort of pause it whenever you need to or whatnot. It's such a better feeling, in my opinion, than like seeing a movie in theaters, because what I like about seeing a movie at home is that all movies are the same. You know, you get this sense that not that they're all the same, but you get sort of the same experience as you will watching the next movie as you did the previous movie. You know what I mean? So it's like it's fair game, basically, is what I'm saying. It's fair game for you to truly understand which movies stand out the most to you, rather than just going, oh, I saw this movie in theaters and it's so much better because of it, because I saw it in theaters. And it's like, I both understand the outlook and I agree in some sense, but I also like, I'm sort of being like the devil on the shoulder here or whatnot, or the devil's advocate, if you will. Nothing better than lukewarm black coffee. Damn good coffee. Slurp, slurp. So yeah, director Arthur Jones, all the writers behind this, everybody involved in this film, in this documentary, should be proud of themselves. Obviously not a moron like Alex Jones. I think this, I hope more of the people that watch Alex Jones religiously maybe give this a watch and maybe have their eyes open to how much of a schmuck this guy is, and how much of a user and a loser this guy is for trying to demonize Matt Furie. I mean, like the way like they show some clips of his, and I was like, wow, like stay in your lane, buddy. Go demonize politicians. Don't demonize a guy that's trying to like stop his own creation from becoming a mockery, like pieces of trash like you have turned it into. Like it's absolutely disgusting how Alex Jones in this, like you see like they show like they show like like they're basically sitting in this room and they're getting filmed by their opposing lawyers, because like they're basically in this legal battle, and eventually Alex Jones settles. I think he pays Matt like $2 million, and I'm so like happy that Matt got that, because if anything, that's the least he should have got, you know, for all this nonsense. But still, I guess the battle continues for the guy, and again, I wish him all the best in this, especially after seeing this documentary. I think more people need to seek this out. Of course, I give it a perfect score, 10 out of 10, A+, 5 out of 5. I mean, quite possibly the best movie I've seen this year. I don't want to say for sure, but I think I think I can say that with certainty that by the end of the year, you know, by the 31st, by January 1st, by the time this year's all said and done, this probably will end up being the absolute best movie that I got the chance to see in 2020 from 2020. Like maybe we'll get more movies from 2020 around like released around like January, February, because usually that's when all these Oscar movies get released. Like there's one with posthumous, is that how you pronounce it? Posthumous, posthumous performance from Chadwick Boseman. Like I forget what the movie's called. It might be called like Ma Rainey or Ma Rainey's something or another. Like I forget, but that's gonna have Chadwick's final performance in there. So I'm excited to see that film. I'm excited to see Nomadland with Frances McDormand. McDormand? I forget how to pronounce her last name, but I like her a lot. I think she won an Oscar for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. If she didn't, then that's crazy in my opinion. I wonder, I'm pretty sure she did win the Oscar for that, and rightfully so. That was one of the best performances for sure of whichever year that came out. So yeah, there's still a lot of great stuff to look forward to this year. I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of stuff that you know, that can still be considered 2020 film. However, they won't be getting released till like 2021. So, but yeah, I hope this film receives some more attention. I hope the Oscars nominate this film for Best Documentary, because I think it certainly deserves it, especially with the level of effort and energy this film has, like especially in those animated scenes. I can't stress enough. If this film didn't have the animated scenes, this film would still be a strong documentary. It'd probably be like a 9 out of 10. But with those animated scenes, those are really what make this documentary something extraordinarily special. I'm not sure if they, like, I'm making an assumption here, but I assume that Matt Furie probably was involved in those animated sequences. I mean, they're a lot more technical than his artwork, but you see at one point he shows his daughter this wordless coloring, or I mean not coloring book, but a picture book, this children's book that he made, and it's beautiful. Like he made this book. It took him like over a year, his friends saying at one point, to make this book. He put a lot of heart and soul into it. And you see some of the drawings, and it's just like, wow, and you hear him talk about it. Like, it had me tearing up a bunch of times, because this guy has, like, so much heart that right from the get-go, I couldn't help but root for him. And more as the film went on, I was just like, there's no reason I can find that to not like this guy, to not root for him in every step of the way, because this guy's so genuine. He's got such a good heart. I wish him all the best, him and his family. And I'm just so upset with the people that that turned his innocent creation into something that can be considered a hate symbol, because though the pieces of trash that basically got it to that point, shame on them, and they should forever feel guilty for that, you know, because these are people that have never come up with anything creative, not even once in their unfortunately sad and pathetic lives. And I think it's about time these morons move out of their mother's basement, get a job, get a life, and stop being on the internet for so much. Hell, like become a monk. You know, there's so many times throughout my life where, like, when I get wrapped up in the rabbit hole that is the internet, sometimes I just think to myself, man, I kind of, you know, want to, like, just escape from it all. Like, go live on a go live in, like, some sort of like Amish sort of village, you know, where there's no electricity and you have to generate everything yourselves. Or just, like I was saying, become a monk, you know, and just, like, not talk, and just be in constant meditation and have constant peace with yourself. And yeah, I just wow. Yeah, I'm just I'm so impressed with this film. I can't stop talking about it. I can't stop because I always feel like I'm missing something. There's also a point in this documentary where two of Matt's friends talk about going on the Samantha Bee show, and she at one point in one of her segments, she's talking about Pepe the Frog, and she calls it like a hate symbol, just like all the other generic talk shows we're doing, and they go behind the scenes to tell her, like, hey, this is our friend's creation, and it's actually not a hate symbol. Like, it's been bastardized by these goofs on the internet. And, like, their reaction to Samantha Bee's just like or Samantha Bee's reaction to them from their perspective, it's just like, oh, okay. It's just like this smug sort of, like, she doesn't care about the damage she's doing, the further damage she's doing. Same with all these mainstream media outlets. They don't seem to understand the damage they're doing by further propagating that Pepe the Frog is a hate symbol. They should clarify further that it's not a hate symbol. It's something that these disgusting, racist pieces of just absolute bile are using. And like, I think bastardizing and perverting is the best word to describe what they've done with this creation. And I really hope all of them pay the price and suffer the consequences for it. And, you know, they already are in some sense or another. You know, these are very hateful, spiteful, like, just despicable people that just thrive off of driving you mad. And you know what? They're only doing it to themselves, and it's projection 101 with these people. So I do hope they find a bit of salvation. I do hope they find a bit of redemption within themselves, because I feel like even some of the worst people out there are capable of at least some form of redemption, or at least, you know, you hope that they find some at some point in their lives. But we'll see. I mean, I just want this world to get better, and I think it's a documentary like Feels Good Man that will push us in the right direction, that will pave the way for society becoming more respectful, more compassionate for one another. And take a break from the internet every once in a while. That's the main one of the main messages I got from this documentary. You know, take a break from the nonsense. Be like Matt Furie here. Like, you know, don't care about politics. Because at what point, because some of the guys they interview here are like, you can tell they're very political, and they're almost like bashing Matt for the fact that he didn't like pursue these people legally sooner. But like these people themselves, they're just so wrapped up in politics that it's like, have you looked in the mirror recently? I mean, because Matt's doing pretty good. Meanwhile, you're the one sitting here worrying about politics, you know, like, and these people are profiting off of politics as well. So it's like, yeah, you can complain about this guy doing his thing all he wants, but in my opinion, this is the type of guy to look up to. He doesn't care about politics, you know, he doesn't want to be involved in that. So that's part part of one of the many reasons as to why he was very upset with how these racist scumbags were using his creation. And I'm just repeating myself ad nauseum here, but I really can't stress enough. Like, you got to watch this movie. Highly recommend you watch this movie. It's 100% worth seeing. It's a beautiful film about a brilliant man and something that was supposed to be a inspiration and a beacon of hope. And thankfully it has turned around and become that. Like, it's funny how it sort of started as this like this personal creation from this man, and then it like through getting perverted by these goofs on the internet, it became this like sort of perceived hate symbol, and then through the Hong Kong protests it sort of reverted back into being this symbol of hope and peace and love. Yeah, it's good to see where it's at least at this point now, especially with the documentary like this, sort of opening my eyes and hopefully many more people's eyes to how dangerous the internet can be and how it can just turn you into something that you shouldn't be at all. Anyhow, that's it from me. Yeah, I can't get enough of this picture here. As you can tell, I have the tape up top there because I had to tape it to the computer. And maybe I'll use that as the thumbnail, probably. Why not? Why not? Yeah. And where's Audrey when you need her, eh? Where's my cat when you need her? Darn it. Oh well, she's probably sleeping right now. She does more sleeping than I do. Bloody kitties. But I love her, and she's an inspiration to me, and this film was an inspiration to me. And just in general, I hope more people like yourselves get the chance to see it. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this long-winded, rambling video that I always seem to do. I can't seem to get out of the funk of making a video that's probably an hour at this point. Who knows how long this went on for. Feels like an eternity to me whenever I'm making this. I usually find my videos very tough to rewatch, but usually I do, especially with the last one I did on Elliot Page. As I watched that like 2 times. And I like YouTube for the fact that they have this playback speed, because I always like watching myself either in 1.25 or 1.5 speed, just because it's like, okay, I'm much faster. I don't because often like times you know, I go like and make all these throw in all these filler words, but it's because I'm I'm sort of going about it in this improvised manner. I guess I don't know, I'm making a mockery of myself as usual. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys get the chance to watch Feels Good Man. I highly recommend it. Definitely, at the very least, it's one of the best documentaries of 2020 that I've seen so far. One of the best films of 2020 for sure. Easily going to end up in my top 5, and or at least the very least top 10. I mean, who knows? But I highly recommend this to everybody. I think you guys will love it, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.